And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Discussions with Daz. I am, of course, Dazerin, but joined with me today is, again, one of the best tournament organizers in the Rocket League scene and DreamHack Main Stage Lead, CJLink. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. How you been?
I'm good. I'm just glad that we got you here today so we can really just get to know just a little bit more about you. We're going to start just from the beginning, like straight from the beginning. Like, tell me who CJ Link was before even Rocket League.
Oh boy. When did I get that name? Like we can go back that far. That was I don't know, probably middle school. StarCraft, Diablo 2 era. That's
Oh,
where
wow.
CJLink came from. Playing with my buddies back then. And yeah, I've been in I've been in gaming since I was 2, literally. My mom showed me how to type in DOS commands for Lemmings. Do you remember? Did you ever play Lemmings?
No, I heard about it, but I never got to play it. What was that about?
It was so you had these little creatures drop down, and you could make them do different things. It's kind of complicated to explain, actually, but it was like 4-bit. I think it was actually 8-bit animation, but anyway, it was back in the day shit. And can I say shit?
Uh,
Are
yeah,
we
we can.
keeping this PG? What's
We can. You're good.
okay? All right. But yeah, I mean, that's what I've been in gaming for as long as I can remember. Mario Kart was big when I was a kid, and then like jump through. So StarCraft is probably the first actual esport that I watched, but it was super minimal.
Mm.
Um, and then I got like really back into it with League of Legends, probably 2 or 3 years before Rocket League came out.
Okay.
Um, I did a lot like I didn't actually do anything, but I was on Reddit constantly and just like learning about everything.
Yep.
Uh, Active in the discussions, but not to the point where I was actually participating in anything. And then Rocket League came out, and that's where I actually got into the more esports side of stuff.
Mm. Yeah. We like from just the things that you've done. You can just kind of see just how active you've been. I mean, we talk about RLC ambassador, the Texas RL stuff, doing things all the way up to DreamHack. Like, there's so much that you've done. But like, what had gotten you involved with Rocket League, and what made you start getting involved with the competitive scene?
Uh, that was definitely 100% Cloud Fuel. You can trace that back directly to a private message from Cloud Fuel saying, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Come help out Rocket League Central." So I guess that can go back a little further. Um, well, it was one of the Rocket Royales. No,
Hmm.
let's go back even further, slightly further. Uh, you know a little bit about League, right?
Yeah, yeah, of course. I played for a little while.
You know Rivington,
Yeah.
Bislin the third. So he was playing Rocket League, and I tuned into his stream. I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it won me over. I was like, "This is the most amazing game I've ever seen. You get to hit a soccer ball with cars. Let's do this." Uh, and from there, I was like, "Okay, this should have esports. Where's the esports?" So I went on a search for the esports, dug through the Reddit. There was like nothing on it. But then I don't know. It was like a month later. Like Rocket Royale came out, and it it was the first big tournament that Rocket League had. So I got in after. What was that one with the Kyle Maskell?
The MLG.
Yeah, so I got in after MLG, um, but like slightly before Rocket Royale really took off.
Mm.
and then I started following Rocket Royale, and then Pro League happened, Rocket League Central Pro League, and no one was doing match threads or recaps or anything like that, which I was like really used to, coming from the League of Legends community.
Yeah, they had those after every game.
They're good. And we
Yeah.
finally have them. We have them now on the esports subreddit, but no one was doing them, so I started doing similar stuff. It was like, I don't know what to call it. It was like a day recap kind of thing,
Mm.
where I would just break down all the games and I'd give like super brief analysis of it. And Cloud was like, "Hey, this is cool. Come help us out." And I got brought on with like, it was me and Pants and DM Rawlings all brought on at like the same time to start helping out. And
Mm.
back then it was like Cloud, Quest, Ice Cold, and Chewy. That was it. That was like their entire team.
And for those who don't know, D-Pans is one of the, like, again, another major Rocket League tournament organizer. And he also worked with CJ at DreamHack Leipzig. That was this past January. And then Dean Rawlings, one of the people who are, he's basically like the stats guy for RLCS in a sense. And he was just really good at doing the number side of things. Everyone else is part of the Rocket League Garage team and help work on that website. I think Questfair, I think now he's like the main guy that works for them or like does something with them now. I'm not really sure.
He's, I don't think they have actual titles, but he's basically
Mhm.
one of the lead developers. The Vice Gold is their graphic designer. He's ultimately the lead developer. I think he owns the site also.
Yeah, and he does good work too. He's like giving us kind of like little previews of some of the things that he's working on, and they just look fantastic. And they'll be great once they're done. So I'm excited to see all that stuff. But
Oh yeah. Can we even talk about that?
talk about what?
Cloud's gonna get mad. He's not watching.
No, talk about what exactly, but just kind of moving like even more into things like that's how you got started. Then from that on, what was your time like when you were in ROC?
So the big one was the Pro League, and during our RLC Pro League, I went from doing the data entry. We tried to track every single stat we could. It was crazy. Like I watched over and over again just trying to like track stuff. Waste of time. Started doing like video compilations, and they're on my YouTube, and you should never go watch it. But they're like, it's just like every goal, like 3 seconds before, 3 seconds after every goal. Cut, put into one video for an entire series. So you can watch every goal in a series in like 2 minutes. Not that exciting, actually. Sounds cool, but it's not a good idea. Let's see. I started doing a little bit of the admin stuff with Cloud. Mostly it was just like telling players, "Hey, you're up. Go play."
Mm.
Roguish Elf. Roguish Elf was there too.
I've heard that name once before, a long time ago.
He lives up there too.
Yeah, I think he came down for the first LAN that we had down there when D Pants and Hanzo started doing LANs at the Ignite Gaming Lounge. I think he was there.
That makes sense.
But that was, I believe, that was for a brief moment, and then I was just so green that I didn't know anyone. I just kind of like clinged to like Curtis or somebody. I was like, I know you. This is really cool. I'm not gonna play, but it's just nice to kind of be here and chill and stuff. So that was cool.
Yeah, he was big in it. Him and Tom used to do a talk show called the Epic Aerial Podcast. That was a good time. But yeah, back to it. So we did that. I was doing a little bit of admin work. Helped out a lot with the All-Star event thing that we did. it was kind of it was a little bit of a mess. It was a really cool idea, and I hope that we get some more of that. I think that's something Cloud's been
What was
bringing about.
the All Star thing?
Uh, so people got voted into different events. We had a dribble challenge, uh, best freestyle. We had All Star Games, which was EU versus NA, just the top three from each playing each other. I don't remember who was in almost any of that stuff. Pro, definitely. Mike Rules, he was one of the picks. That was back when. That was like Mike's peak. Gibbs as well. That was a fun time. That whole event weekend thing was interesting. Then we had the playoffs. The playoffs were absolutely amazing. Have you seen them? Have you ever watched them?
What, for RLC Pro League?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of them. Yeah.
Okay. Did you see the final where Crown and Jewels was Hashi, Sticky, Yeezy, and Killer? I think Killer number 7 was on there too.
I want to say yeah. Was it with the Pash and Chaltis casting?
Yes.
Yep, I did.
And it went all 7 games, and it came down to an overtime goal by Hashi. That was crazy. And how much was it? Psionics, Dave Hadrick from Psionics dropped in and donated it was like $2,000 or something. Was the prize pool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember how much it was, but it was just like out of nowhere. It was the first time that Psionics got involved with the actual esports. Art, Corey, Josh, a bunch of them would come in and they'd watch and they'd talk smack in the Twitch chat and everything, but they never actively got involved until that point. And that's like their very first step. They dropped some money on the RLC Pro League finals, and then what was it? It was like 2 months after that they announced RLCS.
Wow, and then it's been a journey since then, though, for sure. Just to say the least. With like that first LAN, then season 2, where I think that's when I first started getting involved, around the time, like around the end of season 2, that in between time between season 2 and season 3. And yeah, like it's been quite a journey. I feel like if I went to start to look back, we'd be talking for hours. So
Yeah, I know.
but the amount of involvement that they've had with the community has certainly increased over time, to say the least. Although it's not where a lot of people would love it to be at, it's definitely like a large leap forward than from what was back then. So
yeah, I don't know. I think that they're scaling up really well.
yeah.
Baby steps, moving up, slowly moving up step by step.
Yep. So after that, and after RLC Pro League and the announcement of RLCS, moving forward, you decided, I want to say you decided to start up Texas Rocket League, or Texas RL.
Yeah, that was Southwest. 20 years? 2016?
Mm-hmm.
How many years is 2015? 2016? I have no idea anymore. I'm pretty sure it was 2016. So, Southwest Gaming. It was free to get in, go play games. They had a Rocket League tournament. And I just went down there. I was like, hell, I gotta go down there. It's gonna be good. I think this was during or right after Pro League finished. And I went down there. I was like, hey guys, I'm going to this. I tried to get Cloud to drive up from Houston for this no prize pool, bring your own controller tournament. But I went there. I met Fickle, I met Dig Dog, I met Vile. So I met the three of them. We ended up making a team, which was originally me, Fickle, and Dig Dog. And then Vile's team got knocked out because he got stuck with like two complete randoms.
Mm.
So Vile's team got knocked out, so he was just hanging with us. And Dig Dog had to go stream for Team Rocket US back then. So Vile jumped on, and we ended up like smashing everybody. We were using these controllers, Logitech controllers. They were the worst controllers I've ever played.
I was like, Logitech controllers?
Yeah. Man, they're like $20 controllers. They're bad. They don't have analog inputs.
Oh, I think I know which ones you're talking about.
So the joystick, when you're moving it, is either up, left, down, or right. Or if you put it exactly, like right there.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was bad. Anyway, we still killed absolutely everyone. And I got. Do you see this? Yeah, I got that poster, the signed poster.
Mm.
That controller I just showed you. Headset, T-shirt. What else do we get? I don't know. We got like $400 or $500 worth of shit each.
Nice.
Yeah, that was the first tournament I ever played in. It is one of 2 tournaments I've ever won, and that was the birth of Texas Rocket League, or Texas RL. Can't legally say Texas Rocket League. It is Texas RL.
Oh.
And it was the birth of that, and also like my affinity for lands.
Mm-hmm.
It, as most everyone knows that knows who I am, I love lands, and that tournament that I played in at South by was where that came from. I'd never played in a live environment before. And then I went to that, and I just had a blast.
Yeah, and you talk about just like having that affinity for land environments, and I can totally resonate with that. Just from the fact that when we first started doing things on the Chicago end of things, I remember the first Midwest land where we cast it with Leaf and Lawler, and we had like a meeting afterwards, and they were like, yeah, so now that you've done your first land, that's all you're going to want to do forever. You're not going to want to do anything else. You're not going to want to cast anything else, because it's true. Like, the land environment is just something that's just, it gets addicting over time. You see all your friends online, you all meet up, play some competitive Rocket League, then afterwards all go hang out. Like, it's super fun, and it's just super addicting.
Yeah, just like competing live. So competing online, like, it's all ones and zeros over the internet. Playing live, like, that person's right there, and you want to beat that person, not some random screen name.
Right. And what's also cool about what you talked about was how you guys all came together in that LAN environment, and then what you guys are all able to do now. You working with DreamHack, which we'll get to in a second. Dig Dog now working for Psyonix. Vile also working with RLCS, making those after movies with Doomsy.
He's also either on a plane or he should be in San Francisco right now for
Gold Rush?
Gold Rush. Yeah, nice. He's working with them now too.
And then Fickle just being like one of like the premier casters of Rocket League, being able to do DreamHack Atlanta, X Games, and now being potential caster for RLRS. Like, you guys came a long way from a little South by Southwest tournament. And
right? Yeah, none of us knew each other before that. Of course, Cloudfuel, he was like, hey, these guys are going to be there. Go say hi to them. You guys should meet up and make a team. Boom.
There you go. That's it. And the work everyone's done since then has just been phenomenal. So that's good on you guys. But moving forward now to talk about the DreamHack stuff, how did you first get involved with DreamHack?
So after South by, there was South by is always the weekend of or the weekend before or after St. Patrick's Day. So that's March. Then every April there was DreamHack Austin, which is super convenient because I live right here. They announced that they were going to have a Rocket League tournament back same year. So just like a month and a half later, they announced they were going to have a Rocket League tournament. No one knew about it really. No one was really talking about it, and there was no prize pool at the start. Then 2 weeks before, they announced $1,000 prize pool. Still no one talking about it. $1,000 prize pool was huge
back then. Yeah.
And then they upped it to $2K. It was a $2,000 prize pool in 2015. When did Rocket League come out?
I think Rocket League
2016 then.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was the biggest prize pool LAN at all. It was like the second biggest prize pool event to date. And me and Fickle went to it. He was like, "Hey, no one's going to this." We went there. We beat down Hawkshot. I will have y'all know. I don't remember who he was playing with, but we beat him and his teammate, and we took second. We took second against Classic Stanley. You know that team?
I've heard
bubble
it
for a while. But they came up from Houston. They took first place and all of the prize money.
Oh wow!
All 2K. Yeah, so it was a 2,000 prize pool tournament.
It's a winner take all.
First place.
That's really good.
Dude, I was pissed. Fickle was pissed. So, from that point, when it started getting close the next year, I was like, we can't have that happen again. We played best of ones all the way up until the finals.
What was the finals?
Best of 3.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was double elim. So it was like best of 1 winners, best of 1 losers, all the way to the grand finals, which was best of 3. Which, like that doesn't work, and I knew that. So the prize split wasn't okay. There was no rules on the maps. The rules were a mess. So it was all a disaster, and we could see that when it came time for. Well, no, actually, before that, we had Lone Star Rocket LAN, which was the Texas RL LAN in Austin, January of last year, a little bit more than a year ago now. Got about 2,000 raised for that one, right? No, it was over 1,000. And then, man, I don't even remember anymore. We had like 2,000 viewers or something. So we ran that, and then I went to it was like a community thing for South by Southwest Gaming, and I got to talking to the guy that ended up putting me in contact with the DreamHack crew. So I was like, hey, I want to help run Rocket League events. If you guys are going to have a Rocket League event, I want to help you. And he already had the knowledge that South by Southwest was going to be getting that $5,000 tournament. No one else had it, but they couldn't release it. I don't know if you remember that at all, but it got announced like a week beforehand that there was a 5K. And everyone was kind of upset about it, myself included. But they contracted out the PC free play arena to DreamHack.
Mm-hmm.
So they were like, hey, this guy knows Rocket League and he wants to do the tournament admin and the production for you guys for Rocket League. So there you go. Like, I volunteered. I'm doing it for free. They're like, oh, yeah, perfect. So they brought me on, and we did so it wasn't just me. It was me, Goat, Fickle, Vile, Chamaco from Rocket Street. Um, so they brought us on. We ran their Rocket League tournament, their CS:GO tournament, and a League of Legends tournament. So we ran those 3 tournaments for them. We did very small productions for the other ones, and then we did like a decently full production for the Rocket League. It was a $5,000 tournament, a 2v2. It was pretty big at the time. Got like 200 people watching it because it was on so it's twitch.tv/South by or SXSW gaming tournaments. So it's like the worst URL. No one knew about the channel or anything. I was like, hey, we can get, probably a couple thousand people watching this on Texas RL, but they didn't want that. So we went with their branded channel. It did all right, but the DreamHack people were really happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
And when signups were open for Austin, so signups are open right now for Austin also for this coming year. So we volunteered to work with the guy running LAN gaming, which covers the tournament aspects. No production, but it covers all of that. The brackets, the payments, et cetera, et cetera. Mostly it's just the brackets, tournament admin stuff. And then, like, what was it? It was like a week and a half before the event. They're like, hey, we're going to do all the tournament finals on the main stage. We need someone to run the production. CJ, come do this. I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea what I was up for. I expected, we'd have a PC back there, and then maybe I'd throw a couple of webcams up. But I get there, they've got it's a flight case, which, right. Everything folds out, and you got all the connections on the back, and you got a laptop and a screen on the front, and it's like it's full production gear, and no one had any idea how to use half this stuff. It was me and a ragtag team of people thrown together. We did have Vile to do the graphics, which was a godsend, but to get the cameras into the PC, we were having to have one person switching the cameras and then one person switching the scenes on OBS all at the same time, with a third person doing in-game observing. It was not efficient. It was bad. But we got through it, and we did the productions, and we had decent viewership for stuff. We actually had like 2,000 people watching the Rocket League part, which was pretty cool. Mostly because I think we got Crow, Rizzo, Pluto, Among Star was up there, but we got some pretty big names for the Rocket League. The other stuff was pretty bland, but we still got decent viewership. We're like, hey, come to Atlanta. We want you to come do this in Atlanta and Denver the rest of this year. Pay your flights, pay your hotel, et cetera, et cetera. I said, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. But first, who was it? The Alicia, she's the volunteer coordinator. She ends up handling all of the volunteers. But she said, hey, I want you to talk to someone about a Rocket League tournament. Okay. And it was Mark Weber, who's the product manager for a lot of their esports. Mm-hmm. And he said, hey, we're doing a $50,000 tournament in Sweden, and we need someone to run it. And initially I was like, you should get Cloud Fuel. You need Cloud Fuel. Cloud Fuel should do this. Like, yeah, he's going to be coming. He's coming on the Twitch side of things, but we need someone on the DreamHack side. And I gave him 3 options. I was like, there's only 3 people that have ever done LAN tournaments. It's me, D-Pants, Furtive. I gave my glowing recommendation of D-Pants. They contacted him. He couldn't go because it was like way too short notice. I still didn't have a passport at this point. Like, I had my passport. It had expired like a year ago, and they came back. They're like, "Hey, can you make this? Like, can you get a passport in time? Can you come to this and come do it?" I said probably not, but I'll try. And then I went through the research. I figured out that I could get it expedited. I was like, yeah, all right, I'll be there. You're going to have to excuse me for just a minute. I need to blow my nose about as bad as possible.
I got you. I'm going to hit you with the mute and talk about you.
All right. Weird.
During that time, let me see. I remember it was DreamHack Sweden. It was one of the bigger it was one of the bigger Rocket League lands that were out. A lot of people were watching it online. Who were the casters for that? I think there was Lawler, Wavepunk, Karma was on the desk. They had Shogun. I think they had Johnny Boy. That was a pretty big tournament. So that's where CJ first got involved with DreamHack. Well, in a sense, he's just kind of giving us a brief timeline of that. But it leads us into our next topic that we're going to hit up as soon as he returns. Look at the posters. He has some interesting posters on the wall. That's for sure. He's got the Princess Leia, the Rocket League, the Spider-Man. He's got one from LAN. I think that might be the first live finals. Actually, this gives me a second to fix up things.
Oh, that don't sound good.
Yeah, it doesn't. I think I fixed it.
Let me know that that's aimed back correctly.
Yeah, you're fine. You're perfect. So, leads me into like the next discussion. So you started traveling for DreamHack. The more events and stuff you started doing. What was that like? Just being able to travel to all those different places for work.
Surreal. And I definitely wouldn't have called it work at first. Like, it didn't feel like work. Like, I was going to run a video game tournament in a small town in Sweden where like 100,000 people go to a LAN party. Like, it doesn't feel like work still. But I guess what's that saying? Like, do something you love and you'll never work a day in your life, something like that.
Yeah.
So that's super true. Like, if I could do this full time, I would in a heartbeat. Just like, that would be all I would do all the time. It wouldn't even necessarily have to be Rocket League. Like, I could do it with most esports. Austin, DreamHack Austin, 17 was my first taste of doing other esports. I guess South by a little bit, but I really don't count that. But we did Heroes, Overwatch, League of Legends, CSGO. I think that was it. We did all those, and I had never produced those before. I've done, I don't know, probably 50 or 60 Rocket League streams at this point. I had never done any other esport. So getting into those was weird. Going to Sweden was like, it was insane. I didn't have a hotel because I told, like, by the time that they confirmed that I could go through me, we, like, there wasn't a hotel within, I think, 50 miles of the venue that had a spot open. So they got me an air mattress. They threw me up in crew sleeping. I crouched with a bunch of the other Americans that had flown over. which was actually really cool. Got to meet some cool people. And ran a pretty iffy tournament. I don't know if you tuned into that one at all.
I saw a little bit of it. I definitely saw a little bit of it. And then you were running around. You had your little tablet in your hand. It was
yelling
pretty funny.
At people. Man, I gotta put that tablet down sometimes. But then when I put it down, I lose it. And I have to start yelling at people like, "Where's my tablet?" I did not use it in Germany. Just used my phone. We were way more organized for Germany. We can get to Germany a little bit later, though. So, Sweden was crazy. Who won that? Flipside?
Yes.
Yeah, Flipside won that one. That was pretty cool. Overall, it was... I believe that was the first major production for a Rocket League tournament outside of the RLCS.
Yep.
So it was pretty cool to be a part of that. And then, like 2 months later, we had to do Atlanta. We got to do Atlanta. Atlanta was fun. Yeah. Have to throw you and Vod up. Huge opportunities for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
Fickle and Achieves. I mean, we see what Achieves is doing now.
Right.
And that's probably where it started. Maybe was he at X Games?
Yeah, he was a desk for X Games, and Fickle was casting alongside Jorby, and they had Axel and Quinn.
Yep. A lot of teams got a really good... I don't know what to call it. An opportunity.
Yeah.
To play the big dogs. Compete for some real money. That was pretty cool. But I didn't get to watch almost any of that because I had my own stage to run. And that was the first time that I ran a production for another... What's that?
Oh, when you were doing main stage?
Yeah. So over on main stage, I've run every main stage for DreamHack in the United States so far. And that one was the first time that we had someone else's content, essentially. So Base Trade TV, StarCraft 2 channel, they sponsored the BYOC tournament, put it up to like 5K, and they're both semis and the finals. I believe that's how it was. I think it was a single elim for there. So both semis and the finals were on main stage, and we did all the production for it. And that was I think the first time it started to feel like work. Because I was doing something for someone else. They had expectations of what was supposed to be happening, etc. And we messed some stuff up, and people were actually upset about it. Instead of like, hey, at least it worked, they were actually not happy that we had broadcasted like the first 15 minutes in 480p. I think that was the issue. Yeah. Blame Boyer. That was also the first time I got to work with Eric Boyer, which you've had the pleasure of working with a couple times.
Yeah, he is a gem. I would say that he's a gem.
He's got knowledgeable as fuck.
Yep, and he's got a setup that I've never seen for a stream before. Again, got to work with him last weekend for that 2v2 showcase we did.
All right.
And he's been, from when I first met him up till now, the only thing he's gotten is more and more efficient and more busy. Like, he's just doing so much stuff.
So busy.
He just does so much stuff. Like, during, I want to say, Atlanta till now, a funny thing to do when you ever get a chance to talk to Boyer is to ask him about his photos. Because at every event, if he ever has time, he'll take pictures of talent. He'll take pictures of like the crowds, but he will never ever have time to get those photos to anyone. Like, he'll never do it. So you should always just ask him about pictures, because then he'll be like,
hey, you ever get those out?
Yep, that's so. But just the fact that we've all, like, for me at least, working with you and Main Stage and working with Boyer and helping him on the production, it was a learning experience, but it was familiar with me. So I felt like I was with people I knew who like would be able to help me out, show me what went where and what I could do. And even though I kind of like blew off half my time just because I was so drawn to the Rocket League area, we'll call it that. It was still just like it was a great experience for sure.
Yeah, I think Atlanta was the first time that we started getting everything right. I would say half of the production for Atlanta like went well. I was finally getting an idea of who I needed where, and like the talent sets that I needed. That was probably one of the... What was that? Was that my phone?
I think so. It sounded like a Rocket League noise.
Yeah.
I know you have like that.
That was my phone. Because Mad City GG just went live.
Yeah, I got those notifications.
So I would say that half of the production there, most of the AVGL stuff, that was another thing that we did there. That was the first time that we worked with. What the hell does AVGL stand for? Like American Video Game League or something like that.
It's something like that, but I know for most of that they were doing like their college stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a bunch of
they
college
are only college.
Yeah.
So they just do college stuff. And what did we do? We did League of Legends and Overwatch with them, I want to say. And those productions went well.
Yep.
And we got good numbers. Like a collegiate League of Legends stream doesn't usually get more than 2,000 viewers. And we had like 3 to 4 to 5. And that made everyone happy. Like, there was AVGL, that was definitely also like work aspect. Like, that felt like work. Like, hey, this is what we're gonna do, this is what we need you guys to do. We were doing stuff for someone else, but that was on the DreamHack channel still. And how well those streams went solidified Main Stage as a constant thing, I guess, that DreamHack's going to keep doing in the U.S. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I leave, if they stop, but I know that like probably me and Boyer again are going to do Austin, so we've got at least one more stop on it. I'm sure they can find someone else to fill in for me, hopefully. But yeah, that was Atlanta. It was a huge learning experience. I had never been to Atlanta before, flown through it I don't know how many times. Got to meet D-Pants for the first time there. It was the first time I met you, right?
Yep.
I went to RLCS Season 1,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of people didn't. But I haven't been to one since either.
Yeah, you gotta go. You got a lot of hugs waiting on you at the very least.
I know.
So you gotta get out to that one. But yeah, I mean, for just to kind of like backtrack to like working with the whole AVGL thing, my experience with them was like, yeah, they had me running around, doing a lot of stuff because I was stagehand for them at the time.
Oh, right.
I think it was for their Overwatch, and I was like half stagehand, because whenever they had a problem, I would just point to the guy that knew all the issues, because I'm like, I kind of know all the Rocket League issues. I don't really know FPS and Overwatch stuff issues, and they were talking about using like NVIDIA and Razer Synapse and all this. I was like, okay, talk to him. I'll just go and give you your keyboards when you win. Uh, so that was a little bit of fun. But after we had got everything rolling, they were chill. They were really chill. They were like, yeah, you can go do whatever you want to do. Just come back like after like the series is over. I'm like, okay. But also, one of the interesting things that I noticed from working with them was that there were some of the guys who were the hosts. There was one kid that was a host, and then the other one was a caster, and they were from two different games. And I saw one at a PUBG Invitational, and the only reason I knew it was him was because
Cameron.
Yep, he got ripped hard on Reddit, but I had met him there, and he seems like a pretty cool kid. I feel like whatever had happened was like an accident, but I don't want to get too into that. And then there was another one who he tweeted a picture. He was with the Chiefs and Corelli on CRL.
Really?
Yeah, he's really tall.
Jump.
Yep, Jump. It was Jump.
Yeah, Jump's hung out with Axel Toss. He's all in the esports. In the esports scene now. Like he was at
TwitchCon
in LA doing stuff.
He's doing it.
I think he's like doing something for Riot soon. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what he was moving out there for, was stuff at Riot for League of Legends.
Oh, that's good. That's always a good move forward. But no, it was just really kind of cool seeing like all of these people that from just kind of like working at main stage to go to do other things as well. I mean, there was one DreamHack you guys did. You had Golden Boy start by the cast. I think it was like Lawbreakers.
Yeah, that's Denver. That is not the next step on my journey. That's 2 steps away. After Atlanta, like during Atlanta, essentially, I had already started planning the Dallas Open.
Right.
Which was our Texas RL. That was our big one. Like that's what we were. I don't know. We wanted to do something bigger and better. Something that none of the community orgs had done yet. Because we had the stuff up in Chicago, Wisconsin.
Yep.
What was that Boost Legacy did?
Boost Adelphia?
Yeah. Yeah, that was with Nerd Street. Which I'm kind of sad that those didn't go so well.
Yeah.
I like Nerd Street gamers. I've watched Cheeseadelphia for a while, which is the StarCraft.
I believe from what I've heard, it had something to do with people who were like currently working there at the time. And I think now that's been kind of phased out, because we had spoke with the Mad City guys when we had found out that they were being powered by Nerd Street, and Boyer was like, I remember what you guys had told me about the Philadelphia event, and I brought it up to them, and they were like, those guys aren't really like a part of Nerd Street Gamers anymore, so they're kind of like moving in a more solid direction. They weren't even at the showcase at all. It was just Boyer and some of Boyer's guys. So they're making changes, and it's so far like so good.
Yeah, I would trust pretty much any production that Boyer's on. So he tends to vet the people that he works with pretty well. Yep. And he won't work with people that he doesn't want to work with again.
Yep.
Like, he'll just not do it. So we got the Dallas Open going. That was a lot of work. That's probably the one event I've put the most work into so far. So we had to fly all the casters out. I had to figure out housing. That's stuff that normally TOs don't deal with. Flights and housing and stuff.
Right.
Rides, because it's not in Dallas. It's like 30 minutes minimum from any of the hotels. Then we had I never expected any of the teams to get financed. I was like, hey, let's throw this out there. Let's see if it's a possibility, if
Mm.
people are actually interested in it. And then PSC Myth Myth at the
Myth.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, they got fully paid for, and we I bought them plane tickets. They flew out, and then they ended up winning the whole thing.
That works.
Yep. Um, but that one went well. Um, sorry. I was hoping. That was very shortly after Land was released. I was really hoping that would have worked. Um, but it didn't, as you're well aware.
Yep.
But everything else with that tournament, the production, the stream, that all went well. The only there was something wrong with Twitch that day. Uh, do you remember that at all?
No, I don't remember things like on the Twitch side too much.
It wasn't our Twitch. It was Twitch in general was having an issue that day. It was like live notifications weren't working, and you couldn't tell who was live from certain screens or something like that.
Mm.
So RLCS EU only had like 30,000 viewers, and they were consistently hitting like way higher numbers. I think they were like 50, 60.
Right.
So they only had like 30,000 viewers. They shot that host over to PRL, and that dropped down to like I think it was like 3K. That's the only thing that like didn't go that well was the viewership on Twitch. Everything else with that tournament I feel like went extremely well.
Mm-hmm.
Setup went well. Production was clean. Casting analysts, that was all good. Nothing wrong with the tournament. I don't know. I'm pretty proud of that one. It wasn't. I feel like it doesn't get much recognition from people that weren't there. The people that were there seemed to like it.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah.
Being able to like the fact that all the casters got flown out, that was something that again we talk about like the Smash compendium and how that worked well for Gold Rush. A lot of people were pretty skeptical about whether or not it will work for like community casters because again like there's a weird little thing with community casters that people. I don't know how I can describe it, but there's a different relationship between viewers and casters than there are players. People would much easier easily rather fly out players to either play or cast because they want to be their favorite players. Going to favorite casters is a different subject, but the fact that all of them were able to be funded and flown out was just something that a lot of people were really happy about. Yeah, no, a lot of people like really just did not expect it, and I think the ball really got rolling when I want to say Stacks had posted the tweet longer about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was just a ton of support. I think Stacks went to sleep and woke up.
He got funded in like 3 hours.
He literally, we talked about it the other day. He went to sleep, woke up, and got like a message from you saying, "Hey, book your plane ticket.
I need your airport information and when you can go." Stat.
Right. So I feel like everyone else kind of just really like piggybacked off that momentum that he had built up because it was like, okay, this is doable, and people will fly out like people that they enjoy and stuff like that, and
when you take thousands of people and you need to raise a couple $100 for it, if you give them something to work for there, I've found that they're pretty consistent in being able to achieve that. If it's something that the community in general wants to happen, it will happen. I don't know if it's like peer pressure or I don't know why. I just know that it does work generally.
Yeah, and then I mean, also the way that the shop was set up worked out very well. A lot of people got to buy the pieces of Texas RL merch that they wanted to, and that helps also support that stuff.
Yeah, that was one of the other like only downfalls of it. Was the merch quality wasn't up to par, in my opinion. Like I've seen the stuff from Gold Rush. The Gold Rush stuff was good quality
Mm.
merchandise, but the stuff that we ended up getting, um, due to the lower quantities that we had to order, we had to go with it's a printing method called DTG that just, and this is another thing that I had never had to deal with before, is merchandising and knowing what screen printing versus direct to garment is, stuff like that. I had to learn all this for the Dallas Open.
Mm.
But we did direct to garment, and it just didn't work as well. Some of the shirts, if you washed them, and they were hit or miss, that was frustrating. So I felt like we failed pretty hard on that front. Um, I'm pretty reluctant to do another shop unless it's a something that we can sell quantity of. So we'll see. I don't know if people have gotten their wristbands yet either.
I would
Did you
know.
order?
No, I didn't order one, so I wouldn't know for
Okay.
sure.
I think it
Well,
was Jasher. Jasher was telling me that he still hadn't gotten his.
mm,
I don't know. I kicked that off to them.
yeah. So yeah, but just talking about like being at the event again, had the land feel to it. Hey, all my buddies here playing competitive
Yep.
Rocket League. We had like a little stage for like the stream matches. I think people were able to bring your own computer.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was a cool. That was a cool thing about it, was you could bring your own computer for, man, I think it was $15. Bring
mm,
your own computer for $15, or you could rent a computer for like $30. And having the two different price tiers, I hope it allowed more people to come. So that was that was something that I haven't seen done anywhere else. Is the option for a cheap option with BYOC and then a rental option.
actually, this kind of brings up something that I want to get your thoughts on real quick.
Okay.
So like Rocket League community tournaments that have, I want to say, like a large prize pool.
Yep.
Would you think, which one would you think would be the best to do? Have it be a BYOC, or have it to where there are computers that are provided for the players to use?
Um, Preferably you're going to want to provide computers. If it depends on the size of the prize pool. So once you get to the point where you're having people traveling specifically to go play in your tournament,
Yeah.
you want to be able to provide the PCs. Um, which is one of the reasons I try and do it here, is because I want to get people from Austin, San Antonio, Houston up to Dallas to play, et cetera, et cetera. So they're not, you're not putting everything in your car and driving up there. You can put you and four friends in your car and drive up there instead.
Hmm.
Um, which is also why we start early and end a little, or start probably, I don't know. I feel like it's starting late, but like 11 o'clock start time is probably not that late. And then end a little bit early. Allow people to be able to drive up there and then drive back.
Right.
Um, Once people are starting to fly, especially overseas, you have to provide computers. Um, I think the threshold at this point is probably going to be five figures. So between 5 and 10K is probably gray area, and
Right.
then after 10K you need to start being able to provide PCs. If you can get the prize pool for $10,000, you're probably more efficient to drop down to 7,500 and then provide at least a portion of the PCs.
Mm. Okay. Um, Yeah, I was asked that recently, so it's good to like get your thoughts on that because I wasn't for sure how to really get that answer, and because like you said, that like 5 to 10K is really just a gray area, and no one really knew like
Mhm.
whether or not, like just looking at Rocket League in specific, whether or not that's a game where you need provided PCs for like a larger tournament.
I would say yes. In
Yeah.
general, it you should be aiming for provided PCs. Um, and there's ways to work around them. You don't need, what did we have? 68 uh, PCs we had in Germany. You can get by with, I don't know, what did we we had, what was that, 2 pods of 6 plus 6 more, so we only had 18 at Dallas, and that was enough to run a decent number of the games simultaneously. And
Mm-hmm.
if it's going to be a multi-day event, you can do even more people. But that's also where you get into caps. So you're going to have to start capping how many people can come,
Right.
which isn't ideal. But BYOC is also, if you're going to do BYOC, it's better to have a lot more going on than just one tournament. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like no one wants to pack up their PC and bring it to play in a tournament for 4 to 6 hours and then pack it back out and go home. No one wants to do that. I maybe some people do, but very few people want to do that. It's additional work. And if you can get computers for the players and all they have to do is bring their own controllers and stuff, you can rotate people out. We've got pretty decent methodology at that so far, between the locals I've been running and DreamHack. I think that they were doing that also at the one in Chicago this last weekend.
That one was entirely PC provided.
Yeah, so they had, um, but did they have more people than they had PCs?
Uh, yeah.
Okay, so they were doing rotations. They were
Yeah, yeah,
taking, they were
yeah, yeah.
having people play, then taking them off and having other people play. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, Pants should be fine. Was Pants even there?
Actually, he showed up at the end. It was actually like all run by Hanzo for that one.
Okay, cool. So it
So,
seems like Hanzo has a handle on it too. That's good to
mhm.
know. But
Yeah.
yeah, there's a methodology behind it, and it's not too bad. You lose so much to setup time. I don't
Yeah.
know why it takes Rocket League players so long, but
Yeah. We had our fair share of setup issues at that one. There were a lot of players who were telling us like these PCs don't feel right. Some people couldn't get their controllers working, stuff like that. But to their I guess benefit, I would say Boyer, he we did a recap the other day, and he was like the most frustrating Rocket League player that was at that event was still 100 times better than a CS:GO player.
this is entirely true. I completely agree with that. I've only had CS:GO players on my stages for like a total of 5 or 6 hours, and they complained more than everyone else that has ever been on the stage. So
Yep.
yeah,
So,
I don't
uh,
know.
right. I mean, I'd said it got to the point where Boyer was helping out for Hanzo, and he had told the player, he was like, "Look, I understand that you're having like a bunch of issues, but like we have to stream your match." And the player was just like, "Okay, yeah, my bad, sorry, sure, let's go." And to that player's like either benefit or not, they ended up winning the tournament, so good on them. But but yeah, Rocket League setup is, it takes a minute. I'd say you have players be able to get comfortable, get the controllers in, be able to drive around and free play for a little bit before their games. Sometimes that's not always the case because their controllers aren't right. They feel like their car is heavy, or
Yeah,
whatever, but it's not that bad.
the we figured out a lot at this last DreamHack, and um, I had stage setup time down to 5 to 10 minutes consistently for all of day two, all of day three. Um, we got down to about 5 to 10 minutes. We were actually waiting on production most of the time, which is a good thing. Um, but they had this amazing setup. So it's because it's the what the CS:GO guys use. Um, so they have a little computer. It's a slightly smaller form factor computer, and what they've done is they've run a SATA cable and the power out to the side, and they attach it to the side, so you can walk up and you can put an SSD into it,
Mm.
and that runs the PC. So what we'd have the players do, we'd have them set up an SSD, and I just wrote their names on them. So I had this stack in the back. What do we have? So 8. So I had 24 of these SSDs sitting in the back. And when the players would come up, I'd run through and I'd just plug them in, or I'd have someone helping me do this, and we'd just plug them in. And all they'd have to do is uh, test it, essentially. They might have to set a log back into Steam or something like that, but for the most part, they were plugging their stuff in, checking sound levels, maybe adjusting the monitor. It was by far the most efficient that I've ever seen a Rocket League stage production go. I've not seen a an RLCS one in a while, except on stream, so I can't really compare it to that. But it was super efficient. They were saying that it was probably faster than the RLCS setups.
Oh wow, that's pretty good. So just kind of moving back into the pace of things in terms of being
Back on track.
yeah, because we went off on a little bit of tangent there. Um, getting back with things in terms of just again, we talked about DreamHack Sweden, DreamHack Denver,
Hmm.
Austin, Atlanta.
We didn't talk about Denver.
Well, we didn't, but we mentioned it.
Yep.
And the big point I want to go to next is the fact that you have to go to all of these, and you've traveled for all of these. How does like traveling for all these events, does that affect anything at home?
Yeah, it's a little bit stressful. I have a kid that will be 3 in 7 days.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so during most of this, he's been 2, and that's not a fun time to be a single parent for any extended period of time. I had to I had to watch him for like 4 days or so in a row while my girlfriend was out of town, and you need a break from a 2-year-old. So it gets to her a bit. She doesn't understand it. Um, I don't really completely understand esports and the fact that I have flown more in the past year than I have the rest of my life
Same.
for video games. So, it's taken some adjustment. Uh, Kid seems to be handling it fine. He's like, "Oh, hey, you're back." I was never gone. Um, It'd probably take probably a couple of years until he's like, "Hey, where have you been?" Right now, he's just like, "Hey, you're back. We're good."
Cool.
Yep. My parents have they don't understand what's going on. They check it out. They've watched a couple of the streams. My mom actually screenshotted like really bad. I think she took a picture of the screen with her phone
Oh, that's
of
good.
me on stage in Sweden. It's like, "Hey, look, it's you." But no, it's not too bad. The late nights, like right now, everyone's asleep.
Mhm.
This is the only time that I have to work on esports. So, 10 to 11 p.m. is when everyone's asleep. 10 to 11 p.m. is when everyone's asleep. So, 10 to 11 p.m. is when everyone's asleep. 10 to 11 p.m. is when everyone's asleep. I get a little bit of it during the day at work. If I have slow time, I can work on stuff. But from when I get home to when the kid goes to sleep, I have to be dad for most of that time. And then after he goes to sleep, then I can come work. But then I should also be going to sleep. I don't know. When it gets close to bigger events, I'm not getting as much sleep as I should. I'm about to be 30, so I'm starting to actually need my sleep again.
Oh, that old man mentality. I talked to Defense about that the other day. He was just like, yeah, right now you're at a stage in your life where you can eat whatever you want. And I'm at the stage in my life where if I eat this, then I can't eat this for like 7 days.
Yeah, no, like I've gained something like 60 pounds since I started getting into Rocket League. And I wouldn't attribute that to Rocket League as much as I would to having a kid in that exact same time frame.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm having to work on that now. And it's difficult when you're not worried about you don't have time to worry about what you're eating. You have this huge list of stuff that needs to get done for the event, and you're waiting on responses from these people, and you need to get responses to these other people, and that's just like constantly going through, and you're just like, I'm gonna eat this whole pizza.
Yep.
I don't care.
You just like, I'm hungry. What's the closest thing to me? I'll eat that. Okay, we're good. We're solid. Yep. I understand that. But again, I'll be 22 in 10 days. So I got some time. And I'm enjoying it.
Wait, when's your birthday?
The 17th.
No, mine is 10 days after yours.
Oh, nice. See, we're all in that little bubble.
There's so many birthdays in February. I never noticed this before.
Yep. What? Garrett's was yesterday. Turtles was today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then we got, I think, in the list, there's your kid, me, then you.
Yep. Right now,
So.
my kid's uncle is also, he's like Friday. My grandma was the 4th. I don't know.
A lot of birthdays.
We're getting way too many birthdays here in February.
Yeah, I celebrated a birthday. I want to say last weekend. Then there's one that's this weekend of one of my friends. Well, yeah, I'll go to that one. Just make sure you come to mine because I've been doing a lot of birthdays. I don't usually party like this, so there's that. But you talk about just getting into like getting nearer and nearer into like events like for example, DreamHack Leipzig. And how stressful that gets. Just kind of give me a run through though on that specific event and what it was like working that one.
Leipzig actually wasn't bad because I had pants. So a lot of the stuff that me and him would normally do on our own, we could either break up and I'll do half, he'll do half, or something like that, or we could at least bounce ideas off each other. Hey, does this sound like a good idea? Instead of sitting there like wondering to ourselves for like a day, like, should we put this in the rules? Should we not? We'd just like go back and forth, and we decide it quickly. So working with pants made that so much easier. There was a lot of work, but I did quick math, and I think I only put in about 80 hours outside of running the qualifiers and running the live event. So not counting being in Sweden and not counting the weekend for the qualifiers, I think I only put in like 80 hours. Which isn't that much compared to the Dallas Open. Dallas Open I was probably doing like 40 to 50 hours a week just on the Dallas Open on top of my job. So that was pretty rough, but we managed to get through pretty much everything for DreamHack Leipzig fairly smoothly, and the live event itself actually went very, very well. Couple small hiccups early on, but let's go back to planning. Um, they they contacted me in Pants December. They wanted to have the qualifiers in December. We all wanted to, but we were waiting on someone's legal department to like finally sign everything. I don't know if it was Psionic side. I don't know if it was DreamHack side. I don't know, but something in legal was holding us up, so we didn't get to have the qualifiers in December. It was going to be the uh, I'd have to go back and look, but it was more than a full week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So people would have been able to play in it, and then also we would have had time to get them flights. It would have been so much better. But that also would have rushed us really badly. Um, Instead, we ended up having almost a month and a half to get everything finalized, like the rule set and stuff. They contacted, I think it was like right after E-League. Um, Late November or something like that. We started working on stuff, figuring everything out, how we were going to do the qualifiers. We went back and forth on whether or not we were going to stream them. I finally got them to be like, okay, yeah, you can get people to stream them like 3 days before, 2 days before, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then at that point, it was just like, hey, you guys are going to be casting the event. We're just going to have you guys stream them. Axel and Gibbs stepped up to do that, get the content on their channels for it. Getting players to respond is taxing. It just takes so much out of you. Just trying to get players to be like, yes, we're going to go to Germany to play in the tournament. Like, just getting them to say that to you could take days. And that was the only... If we didn't have to do that, it would have been a walk in the park. We would have written the rules, run the qualifiers, and then gone to Germany. There wasn't that much additional stuff. I did a lot of work on the schedule with them, but that also wasn't... I mean, that wasn't too many hours out of my day. It was having to contact the players and verifying that people were going. Because for some reason, people in Europe will just sign up and then they won't show up. We didn't have that problem in Atlanta. We had too many people show up. But Sweden and now Germany, we had less than the 32 team cap, even though we had probably 50 different teams attempt to sign up for it. But we put something into place where we made all of the teams submit proof that they were actually going. And we even had some teams that bought tickets to the event and still didn't go. But I don't know. I don't know why people in Europe won't travel for it. Like, I saw someone tweet, why does it have to be in Leipzig that's so far away? I was like, okay, who's this guy? Where's he at? I clicked on his Twitter, went to his profile. He lives in Germany. He's in Germany.
He's probably the closest out of everyone traveling to the event.
Well, no, he was like, I Google Maps it. He was like 3.5 to 4 hour drive, which, you know, on a train is maybe 4 to 5 hours. That's so close. Like that's here to North Dallas, where we had the Dallas Open. That's how far that I had to drive to get there. Wow. I don't know why. I don't understand the mindset. There were so many good teams that could have gone to it, and they just didn't. Hotels weren't ridiculously expensive. There were people finding cheap hotels. There were $60 flights from London. Oh, we had 3 of our admin volunteers came from London. It cost them it was 60 pounds. So I have no idea what the conversion is, but it was only 60 pounds for them to fly from London to Leipzig and back.
Mm-hmm.
And there were so many people that didn't travel. I don't know. That's a frustrating thing for me. And I probably won't be doing any of the US ones because I'll be doing main stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if we have more US ones. I know that, I don't know if I should say this, but I know that they want to do more. I just know that nothing's officially approved for additional events for Rocket League yet.
Okay. That's interesting. Because the way that it like looks, at least on like the website and stuff, when you talk about like DreamHack Open, and even on the trophy, what I noticed on the trophy is that they have a list of all the DreamHack events for moving past this date. So they had the events of like the future one. So like it gives you the idea that they're going to do more. If you're like one of those nitpicky guys that looks for details, but like you said, it's one of those things that we'll have to see. But so you talked about the things that give you a hassle. What are the things that you enjoy the most about it? Like your favorite parts of the event?
Watching the players play on stage is definitely my favorite part. I get a vantage point that other people don't get to see. I'm pretty sure I shared it in the RLC chat with you, but like I'm on the stage out of camera view watching everyone play. So I can see all 3 screens on this side, I can see all 3 screens on that side, and watching all the players playing and their reactions is great. The best part of that whole thing, and if you weren't actually paying attention and you were just like your eyes were wandering after PSG won, you can see me standing there because I have to gather them at some point and make sure that they go back, and then I get one for the interview, and that the other guys get cleaned up and stuff. But seeing those guys, like, you know, being a couple feet away from them, they were so happy. Like, they like the smiles, they're just like the energy that was coming off of those guys when they won was something different. That was by far the best part.
I mean, and it like that. We looked over that match, me and Jorby. We plan on like looking over it on stream one day, but we watched like kind of like the replays of it after you guys had released them, and again, it was just such a close series that
it was.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about we talk about Rawlings writing the script. No one could have written that script better to where Game 7 OT.
I don't know who made the bracket format. I don't, you know, so
Game 7 OT in the finals. It was insane, and like again, the series was so close that not even the winning team had an MVP. You gave it to JNaps as the MVP of the tournament, and the kid played like out of his mind.
He did. JNaps definitely did. They did have to choose the MVP before the finals started. So that is part of it. It's just it's a time constraint. Like, production has to make the MVP award thing, so you have to give it to them at least like an hour before, so that they can make the stuff. If you just want to say it
and stuff like that,
yeah. If you just want to say it, you can do it later, but there's stuff that they have to prep for. And there was, oh man, the backstage production. Did you get to go back and see any of the production at Atlanta?
I saw. Yeah, I went back there for a second.
For Rocket League.
Yeah.
Okay, so that times 3 was what we had for Germany. It was a step up. The production that they bring is crazy. They had specific videographers for B-roll that would go out there, they'd bring stuff back, they'd splice it together and edit it, and then throw it up at points. It was uh, I don't know. It was really cool. The production level that they had is probably something that I won't reach. Like I'm not going to end up producing something of that scale. I might be able to manage and coordinate it, but the actual production aspect of it was uh, a little mind-boggling. Like how much different stuff is happening at one time.
Yeah. I know I saw something again because Boyer. I saw something that resembled that a little bit in terms of what did he do for Mad City? He was able to get all of the clips. Basically, he was able to clip every goal, score it,
Mhm.
and then he would bring it up for people to look at during breaks. And then once we close out the stream, he just had all the goal score kind of run through with that. So
Oh, that's cool. Was he automating that or was he manually? Oh, because he's got to trigger the stinger anyway.
mhm.
So you could macro the stinger and the clip in at the same time. Yeah, it's uh vmix. What he uses was he was using his big tower.
Yeah. He had
So
like this like stand up box with a monitor on top. It,
oh really?
yeah,
I
it was a
wonder what he
little.
was using. But did he have a big white tower too with him?
No, ooh, actually, I think so. Because
Okay.
he had a couple of computers, but like they were under the desk. I didn't really look at the computers too much.
So vmix is generally what he runs,
Mm-hmm.
and at least that he has with me, and it has replay functionality built into it, like a step up from OBS. OBS has replay functionality, but vmix has actual replay functionality. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's just what I was able to see from my little area in the world where I do some stuff. So I can understand that production is a step up. I mean, it looked like it though, just from watching the broadcast, even online. You have like two separate areas for the desk and the actual commentators, whereas in DreamHack Atlanta and I think even in Sweden, I think it was all in one area. In a sense, I don't know if the casters moved somewhere else in those broadcasts, but they actually had a
For is, what part was separated? The production and the
like the desk and the actual like caster stations.
oh no, that was definitely separate. Oh wait, no, Atlanta and Sweden, they were just the same one, and they just used multiple angles.
Right.
Yep.
Um, and then for
Germany had Germany had a very nice desk and a very nice caster station and a very nice green room between them for them to hang out in.
yep, and I mean it looked so. And then again, like there was just so much more that they added to that specific broadcast. You talked about like a player interview after every stage match,
Hmm.
something that like again I love seeing, and was really glad that they were able to pull that off. And kind of like the new visuals that they had added to everything. Like again, everything was upgraded for the event. So.
Their graphics package was top notch.
Hmm.
Even Vile messaged me, was like, "Wow, dude, these graphics are amazing." Like, yeah, that's and what you guys couldn't really see is the stage graphics. Uh, I don't know, 2/3 of the stage was LED panels.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, so it was moving screens everywhere, and they did a bunch of different cool stuff. Um, I'm sure you noticed once or twice the victory and defeat, uh,
Yeah. When
depending on who was up there,
yep.
and those ones showed the player cameras during the match, so you could see all three players on both
Oh wow, that's
teams.
dope.
Yeah, no, it was the live experience for that was top notch. Also, I I think that was the best Rocket League tournament that's been done in general. The production, uh, the, I have a couple of issues with the format. Not a huge fan of it. I think it works fine, but I think it could be better.
You're talking about like the round robin portion?
Uh, yeah, there is no round robin. So yeah, but the groups, the way you eliminate players, the the actual tournament was probably the best that we had, as far as how smoothly it ran and the quality of the players.
Yeah, all the teams that showed up.
Uh, yeah, yeah. The actual quality of the teams there was amazing. We hard seeded down to like 20 teams got hard seeded. Like it wasn't like, okay, these last 4 teams, they're all really close to each other. No, they were hard seeded all the way down there, and we had to cut 4 of those teams before day 2. It was pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that was a thing.
There's not much you can do about that.
Yeah, no, there really isn't. I think around that time was when they started the whole best of 3, best of 5 debate,
It was.
where Mystic tweeted best of 3, like he just hates best of 3s and thought the format should have been a best of 5s. And oh yeah, because they tried to see if you could change it. I remember that.
Yeah, it was. If they had decided to complain about that 2 weeks earlier,
Mhm.
we would probably have changed it. I can't say for certain because it's a little bit. I can say, hey, we really should do best of 5s, but that doesn't mean, hey, we're doing best of 5s. Like there's a bit of a management process to it when it gets to that size. But in all honesty, had they complained about it 2 weeks earlier, or I don't know, during the qualifiers, maybe even, it probably could have gotten changed. But it was a gut reaction to what happened during Hyper Cup. Hyper X Cup? I don't know. Whatever that
Yeah,
tournament
I
was.
think it was HyperX Cup.
Yeah, so it was just a gut reaction to some teams playing bad and getting knocked out in that. So
Yep.
I wasn't too concerned about it. Like everyone's played best of 3s in a tournament.
Yeah.
When you're playing early rounds, best of 3 for the most part's fine. Especially when you have time constraints. And
Yeah.
when we have 32 teams, well, we didn't have 32 teams, but when we have to plan for 32 teams all playing in one day, and you don't want to keep people there more than, I don't think that we had to keep any team there for more than 4 hours on any day. And we had, what did we have? 10 to 12 hours of broadcast each day, and we still managed to not keep any team there more than 4, maybe 4.5 hours, except PSG and G2 on day 3. That's an allowable exception though.
Yeah.
When you go to the grand finals.
Yeah, that works out very well. Yeah, and then especially when you have like a limited number of computers to give to everyone, so like not everyone's playing at the same time. Again, having to rotate players out and stuff like that, all works.
And that's really only a concern for day 1. But you do have to concern yourself with how long you're requiring the players to be on site, especially when you have 16, 17-year-olds, stuff like that. Like you can't make them be there all 10 hours.
Yeah.
You can't. You have to break it up so that these teams are playing in this time block, these teams in this time block, these teams in that. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about, and they wouldn't think about. Hopefully they never have to think about it because people keep doing it correctly. But if they had a game at 10 and then they had another game at 8 p.m., you'd hear about it instantly. So another little thing you have to do for it.
Yeah, but no, like stuff like that makes a big difference. I've worked events where teams that come up to me like, yeah, we haven't played in 4 hours, so we've just been sitting here. So it's good to like make sure that all works out. But
every team also had at least an hour and a half of warm up time.
Oh wow!
Before any of their matches they played on any of the days, except Sunday. But Sunday is different. But for group stages, every single team had a minimum of an hour and a half of warm up time, which is
that's lovely.
Yeah,
Honestly,
it was enough that there were 0 complaints.
Yep, that's lovely. Holy cow. So again, ran what seems to be like from a player's aspect, probably even from a production's aspect. Yeah, from player, from production, from viewer, one of, if not like the best Rocket League tournament to date. I'd clap, but that would look terrible on stream. I just want you to know that I'm really happy for you because that's awesome.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was pumped. Viewer numbers were second only to the RLCS.
that's great. That's boom. So yeah,
Yeah,
again, from
yeah.
like
Corey told us that. I was like, what? I was pumped.
so like again, kudos, congrats to you. Like that's super cool to see. So leads me to my next question. What is next?
Uh, I'm attempting to take a break,
Mm.
and it's not going very well. It lasted like 3 or 4 days, and then they opened up applications for DreamHack Austin.
Mm.
Um, I'm not really doing much with it though. I'm taking it as easy as I can. But sometime between end of league play and uh either DreamHack Austin or a week or two after that. Well, I probably wouldn't do it that close. So sometime between league play ending for RLCS and RLRS and DreamHack Austin, or at DreamHack Austin, we're gonna have another Texas Rocket League event.
Oh, cool.
It'll be in Austin. It'll probably be a big BYOC. It'll probably be a BYOC 2v2, just like maybe 3v3. I don't know. But it's Lone Star Rocket Land 2, essentially.
Okay.
So gonna get that going. Not too sure about too much of it. It's not going to be we're not gonna try to make this a big one like we did for Dallas Open. But still definitely gonna try it needs to be another step forward. Like we can't do less than what we did at the Dallas Open. So but it's not going to be as huge of a step as it was from going to in this little warehouse with God, we had 48 computers packed in that little warehouse running extension cords everywhere, to doing a proper production with provided PCs up in Dallas. It won't be that big of a step.
Okay. So you'll be doing Austin for DreamHack. Are you gonna do Atlanta again?
Very likely.
Okay.
I would say 90% possibility. Kind of depends on if anything else gets scheduled for that time. I don't think it will be. I'll probably still go to Atlanta. I wish Atlanta wasn't. I think it's like it's gonna end up being smack dab in the middle of RLCS probably the next season. Though we don't know exactly, we don't have any details on that. But I have a feeling it's gonna end up being that like exact, like there's gonna be league play games on that weekend. Because I think that DreamHack Atlanta with a 50K produced by DreamHack Open would be even bigger than this last DreamHack Atlanta. That was absolutely nutty. But I don't think that's going to end up happening. The timing just isn't going to work out from what I can tell.
Okay.
But I'm not the one that makes the decision, so it might still happen.
Easy. So I'd like to kind of like backtrack. Oh, one thing I forgot to ask you. The most notable and impactful people you've met along your journey in esports.
Okay. Easy number one is Cloud. I think that's the case for most people if you've been in RLC at all, or probably RLCS for that matter. Definitely Cloud. Golden Boy. Uh, I got to chat with him back when they thought I might be a caster. When was that? That was when we were doing Gfinities all the time. When Gfinity Friday afternoon Gfinities were
Yep.
like the
That they
best.
thing. Yep.
Um, and I was casting and I was broadcasting those and stuff for RLC. Uh, I got to have like a conversation with Golden Boy about that. That was pretty cool. And then getting to work with him again in Denver was cool too. Um, hmm. Pants, obviously. Me, Pants, and Furtive have all helped each other out pretty tremendously, I think. Just like back and forth between different things. As far as the land side of stuff goes. Um, let's see. Casters don't really. I don't know. I've never really like had a connection with casters.
Okay.
No, there's too many of y'all. That's the problem I got. Um,
Easy.
I can't be biased. Uh, that's probably let's see. Boyer, probably Boyer too.
Mm.
I've learned a bit. I've learned a lot from him, just from talking to him, and we've only worked together briefly, but having conversations about stuff. Like I've learned quite a bit about the production side of things from him. Yeah, that's probably it.
Nice. Those are all again very impactful people. Like again, I call it D-Pants dad. So,
Uh huh.
lol. And that's only because he's old. Um, of course, Cloudfield.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
yeah, working with Boyer, like those specific people, their names I hear all the time, and it's because again, such good people, so passionate for the Rocket League community and just for esports in general, and then they all just do fantastic work. So, I can understand that. Um, we have been talking for almost 2 hours now.
Did we make it? Jeez. I don't doubt it.
So we're gonna end it off on one question in terms of what you think the future looks like for Rocket League as a game and an esport.
Um, I don't have much on the game side. Because I honestly don't play it that much anymore. I feel like they've lost a lot of the goofy fun aspect of it
Hmm.
that kept it fresh. If they can find something like that again, uh, to where when the updates happen, I have something that I can go play for 10 hours that reminds me that this game is just fun.
Right.
Like it's fun. Um, I think it has a fairly long life though. I don't think that they're going to be like, okay, well, we're going to stop doing this and we're going to release Rocket League 2 in a year. I don't think they're going to do that. It's probably at least a 6 or 7 year game.
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm guessing at some point they might just have to upgrade to a DirectX that isn't 9. Is that what we're on? I think it's DirectX 9 stuff.
I think so.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that it's just old. They might do that, but the esports side is so last year was the biggest year for Rocket League esports so far.
Hmm.
It was a huge year. This year, I think, is going to dwarf it. Um, Last year, the gold rush was small. This year, it's going to be huge. Not huge, but it's going to be bigger and better. And every single event is going to be stepping up. The Chicago stuff, that's all stepping up considerably. Um, I'd like to think that the Texas Rocket League stuff's going to do that, but I can't tell for certain that I'm going to have time to do all of it. Um, but I think that everything's going to get bigger and better. I'd like to see NBC and X Games again. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And we need at least I think we should have 2 more DreamHacks, personally. But I really want to see 1 more DreamHack, and I think that with that, I'm curious about what's going to happen with Psyonix running RLCS in-house. I assume that it will get better. But again, I'm not too certain on that one. I would put money that E-League does another one.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Like,
yeah, oh yeah. With the TV viewership that they got,
it makes sense. Like, there's no reason that they wouldn't. The only reason that they wouldn't is that they are too busy with something else they already had planned during the only off times that Rocket League has. Like, if they can only do it during RLCS, they might not do one.
all right.
And then we just have to wait longer.
But
I think it'll keep going as an esport. Right now, it's high tier 2. And we were arguing that we were at least a tier 3 esport this time last year. And now I think that we're very comfortably in that high tier 2, where you're seeing most of the big fighting games and Melee. What else is there? StarCraft is probably actually below Rocket League now, which makes me sad somewhat. I love my StarCraft. Who else is up there? Like, we're way past like World of Warcraft esports, Guild Wars, Heroes of the Storm. We've left in the dust, stuff like that. And there's only really the big boys to contend with from here on out. CS:GO, Hearthstone, Overwatch, League of Legends, Dota. Those are the big 5. And we will... I don't even... Stuff like COD, it doesn't even count. That's on its way out. It's been dying.
yeah.
And we've surpassed them considerably at this point. So I think that the only thing at this point is for us to keep growing. And the numbers are going to... We're not going to jump from being one of the biggest tier 2s to competing with the tier 1s. We're going to have to build that up. So I don't think that we'll get to that point for at least another year. But I mean, maybe not. Maybe we can, maybe it grows faster. We'll see what Psyonix does for this RLCS.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like this growth will be definitely something that comes with time, because that's something that's kind of notable about all those games, except for Overwatch. All the other games you've mentioned have grown over time and have been years and years into the making. And I think that'll be another case for Rocket League as time goes on and when put into the right hands. So that's going to be it for us today on Discussions with Daz. Again, CJ, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We don't talk much, so it's good to get you to sit down here to like have a chat, even.
Yeah,
like
we should talk more. My problem is I don't have enough time.
I know, busy man. You got to schedule stuff like this. So,
Yep.
Again, so much fun. Thank you so much, guys. If you you want to see more from CJ and all the stuff he's doing, because he's doing big things, make sure to follow his Twitter. I have it under his name below. And if you guys again have enjoyed this broadcast, because this is broadcast on Twitch, if you guys are checking out the YouTube VOD, again. Twitch at Dazerin, Twitter at iDazerin under me name there for just more stuff about Rocket League and anything like that. And then again, thank you CJ so much for joining me today. Thank you everyone for watching, and have a good night. That's gonna be it.
Thanks,
See ya.
guys.